I'll take videos I never wanted to actually have to do for 10,000 Alex. So I'm working from home this morning, and a friend of mine tries to call me, and I ignored the phone call. So my assistant director contacts me and says, "Hey, so and so called. You have to check your email. A county sent out exactly what you've been trying to warn people about." So I go into my email and I start reading this document, and I'm like, this is literally what they've been preparing for. I've tried to warn people. I've tried to tell people that they need to be paying attention, especially what's going on in St. Paul right now with CCAP, the Child Care Assistance Program. And I'll get to that in a minute. But first I want to read this letter. And I will screenshot it and I will put it in the comments as well, and probably do a separate post with a bunch of documentation. So, it came out today, and it is from the Minnesota Prairie County Alliance, which serves the communities of Dodge, Steele, and Waseca counties. So if you're a child care provider and a family lives outside of the area you provide child care in, what happens is the child care assistance comes from that particular county. So it's not uncommon for someone who has a child care center in Blue Earth County to have families from outside that county. Here's what it says. Minnesota Prairie County Alliance would like to share important information about Make a Plan Minnesota. The purpose of Make a Plan Minnesota is twofold: to encourage families to create temporary alternative plans of care for their children in the event their parents or adult caregivers are temporarily too ill from COVID-19 to care for them, and to prevent children from entering the child welfare system. Yeah, that's what they tell you. Let's be real. This has been their plan all along. The Minnesota Department of Human Services, Department of Health, and Housing Authority have created a document, which I will read from shortly, for families to complete that identifies their plan for care of their children, emergency planning, and information kit. This document helps guide families through a process to identify caregivers, gather vital family and child information an alternative caregiver might need to know. So it says an alternative caregiver might need to know while caring for their children, and share this plan with others. We encourage families to complete this plan early and discuss it with their network. Here is a link, and it comes from the Minnesota Children's Cabinet. It's never too early to make a plan. Before the emergency is upon a family, we urge families to talk now with their support networks about who will be able to step in and help provide care for their children or other supports, such as dropping off meals or checking in if a parent is quarantined at home. Please share this information with families that you work with and partner organizations in your network that work with families to support them in planning if appropriate. And then it tells you all about the different translations of these documents that are coming. And it says, sincerely, Heather Johnson, Child and Family Services Manager, Minnesota Prairie County Alliance. Now, I've been trying to warn people, and some people thought I was crazy. I'm telling you right now, they are preparing to take children out of the custody of their parents. That is what they're doing. Now, here we go. This document is called Make a Plan Minnesota. Here's some of the information. I will tell you, as a child care provider in a center, this is identical, almost down to the letter, of the form that I have to use for enrolling children in my child care center. They are getting you, the parent, to fill out a form just in case, because they're not actually going to take your kids from you, so they can hand it off to a child care provider to watch your kids while you're quarantined. Hello, Minnesota, wakey wakey. Okay. So, family information, it asks for your home address, where you live, your work phone number. This is weird information. Date of birth, whether or not you're married. All of this stuff, again, we as childcare providers have to have. Dental insurance, medical insurance, prescription, family emergency contacts, other information such as cultural information, religious information, other community contacts. This is where it gets interesting. On page 6 of this, I'm sure this is going to be reversed. Here's what it says. Is there a delegation of parental authority? Yes or no? And then they give you a link to understand what that means. Do legal documents exist regarding your living will and testament, power of attorney, and advance directives? Why do they need that information? Why are they asking you what's going to happen to you if you die? Are you waking up, Minnesota? Are you? Do you understand what's happening? Important information regarding family relationships, custodial arrangements, anything like that. Comfort items. How do we comfort your children? Is there anything they're attached to? A blanket, a toy, electronic devices? Information on any pre-existing conditions, medications, all about the dosages. They literally took all of our childcare forms and put them in a packet so someone could take your children, right? They're not telling you that's what's going to happen. They're telling you that they're going to give you this so you prepare so it doesn't happen. That's a bunch of bullshit. I'm sorry. Excuse my French, but that's a bunch of BS. If you believe that, I have a treehouse to sell you. It's on a sapling. It's on land that I don't own, but it's for sale. No. School information, where they go to. Does your child have an IEP? And then, just in case they didn't get enough of your data, you can go ahead and click the link and add additional information. Okay, now remember, a few weeks ago, actually long before a few weeks ago, I blew the whistle about an April 8th document, April 8th, entitled Modification to Child Care Center Licensing Requirements, where I said, this is kind of weird in a state of emergency that all of these things are coming to fruition. So, number 1, staff distribution requirements are temporarily suspended. Licensed child care centers are not required to have a teacher-qualified staff person in each room. So you can have 100 staff and only one person who's qualified as a teacher. Now, they claim this is because, what if your staff gets sick, right? Because we're in the middle of the Rona. Oh, really? Well, that's interesting because all the franchise childcare centers are up there whining for more tax dollars because their centers are going under, right? They're in the red because they only have 30% of their enrollment. All right, well, that doesn't make sense then. Because if you are low on kids and you're worried about teachers leaving, well, then the teachers would already be gone, right? So why now do we need to suspend that? And I blew the whistle and I said, this is coming. They're going to take your kids. And now we get an email today saying, hey, if you get COVID, here's this form because we're probably going to come take your kids. Yeah, you're just going to hand it over. Because remember, last week I shared that in California, a county or an attorney said that DCFS came and took the kids, even though the parents had a different care provider available. They took them. Now, what else was suspended on April 8th of 2020? Licensed centers must have a staff person on site who is responsible for overseeing the operation and daily activities. While it's a new requirement, it is necessary. No, it's not a new requirement. If you're going to write something, learn your own freaking rules. It's called being a director. Unless, of course, they're just getting ready for some quarantine centers. Like, don't forget that our governor has emergency authority. He can do whatever he wants. He can pop open community buildings and turn them into different things, right? Yeah. Here's the other interesting thing about that April 8th, 2020 document. It speaks of background study information, certain things that are just suspended. But this one is what really got me. Child care centers that provide night care. Night care may use a cot for toddlers, preschoolers, and school-age children. This provides additional flexibility, permitting the use of a cot instead of a bed or a cot with a mattress during the peacetime emergency. Why are we going to have, right, all these people are unemployed supposedly. Why are we going to have all of these kids who need overnight care all of a sudden? And now we're going to put them on cots. That is what I was trying to warn people about in April. And some people were like, no, that's a bit extreme. It's not extreme, it's lining up. They're just mad because I understand the industry. And above all, I'm going to do whatever God tells me to do. And I have news for you people up there in St. Paul. If you're going to take the bribe, if you're going to vote through the CCAP changes, you have literally decided to tear apart families. That's what you've decided. Because here's what's happening in St. Paul right now. We are out of waivers. So the Child Care Assistance Program, riddled with fraud, whistleblower Scott Stillman, all of that from a few years ago, my child care data about how they're pushing small people out and pushing it into franchises, right? Because you can control franchises more easily. There's one CEO at the top. Yeah, and I'm not even going to get into campaign finance donations because all the people with an R behind their last name will yell at me and scream, you're a conservative, you can't talk about that. Yeah, they're donating money to the HRCC. I'm just going to say it. A major chain childcare franchise is donating hundreds of thousands of dollars into the HRCC, and they've been doing it since circa 2014. And it didn't stop. They're still doing it. And right now, they're donating money to the chairs in the Senate, which is controlled by Republicans. Don't pretend and play games with me that that's not some kind of weird bribe under the table, okay? Oh, hey, I'll toss you $500 here, $500 there, because Republicans typically don't vote for socialist programs. At least they shouldn't be. But here we are. So, in the Senate right now, if you go on Twitter, you can see this huge war going on, and it's all a game. It's two parts of the same stupid ship. It's a game. So the Democrats are like, we need to increase child care assistance funding because this will secure more child care. Remember, people aren't working supposedly right now in this state, so I don't understand why they need to push this right now, unless they're getting ready to pay for kids who are going to be taken from their families and put in child care centers. Yeah, slow blink. Wake up, Minnesota. Now, in the Senate, they're not passing it. So what happens is Minnesota is going to get a fine because we're out of compliance with the federal legislation for this child care assistance money. And they're also missing out on over $60 million of COVID-specific child care funding. Here's my prediction. I predict that they won't push it through this special session, right? Because Walz is going to have to come back in July, right when his little magical scheduled peak happens, because we all know he's a bunch of phony baloney BS numbers that he uses to scare people. And then he's going to come back and say, look, the numbers peaked. Now we have to push through what was called House File 1. Now it's House File 40-something. And it's all about paying for children to be in childcare, even if their parents make over 400% of the federal poverty guideline, which is like $120,000 for a family of 4. Gee, what a perfect opportunity. It's like it's the perfect pandemic storm to push preschool or free childcare, for all. All these kids, right? We got to save the childcare centers. Oh, all these rules have been suspended. We bailed them out with $30 million. And I'm telling you this as a childcare provider who did not apply for a peacetime emergency grant. And again, to each their own. Yeah, the $30 million. That, by the way, over $500,000 went to the campaign finance donor so far. But hey, nothing to see there, right? Yeah, classic. So now we have that. That held them over. That kept them from losing their buildings until now. And now they're all complaining. We got to get more child care assistance funding. We got to ram this through. What's going on? There's this weird Twitter war happening. It's all a show. So the Republicans say, look, or the Republicans can say, look, we held off. And then the magic peak will hit in July, and they'll say, well, we had no choice. Someone had to care for the children that you took from people's homes because of the Rona. Are you kidding me right now? Do you think I actually believe this line of BS? No. It's all a game. Because now more people are getting tested. That's why the numbers are going up. And we're getting ready for the second wave because all of their other little tactics aren't working. You're watching the swamp panic in the state of Minnesota. I don't know if you've noticed it, but it's kind of swampy here. And let's not pretend that's not on both sides of the aisle. Because the reality is it would have ended a long time ago if it wasn't. So, cute story, all it feels. And I'm a patriot who's a conservative, Constitution-defending individual. But I don't have time for games. You touch kids, that's the line for me. That has always been the line for me. Over my dead body will I take children that you yoinked from some family's home under the guise of safety. That's what happened in Nazi Germany, okay? Yeah, let's go there. And now someone's gonna message me and be like, you're a white supremacist. No, I'm a realist. Apparently we don't teach history anymore in America, so people don't remember that for their safety, they separated families. For their safety, they did it. I have news for you, Minnesota and America for that matter. You think that CPS is so great? Boy, could I tell you stories of what people go up to St. Paul fighting for how their kids got taken from them or other things. We have a problem in this country with using a crisis, quote unquote, that they create or not, just saying, to power grab and take our freedom and use a show of force. But if you don't think that this is similar to what happened over there where they separated families, then I can't help you. But at the end of the day, I'm going to have to answer to God for what I've done, and I'm not going to say, well, I did know that they were doing all these things all the way back in April, sending out their emails, asking for parents' living will and testimony. Like, what? Yeah, I don't think so. Not on my watch. You want to know what's going to save this country and this state? Average citizens who are patriots, who are standing up and saying, that's enough of this crap. I don't have time for this. And I don't have time for it. People say to me all the time, well, you could lose your business. Yeah, I could also sit there with my mouth shut and watch a whole bunch of terrible things happen to kids. But you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to sell out for some game. That I'm not going to do. Y'all need to start waking up in Minnesota and pay attention to what's happening. And I will do a separate post, and I'll put it in these comments as well on this video, with all the links to this stuff. You can read it on the Children's Cabinet. You can see exactly what they're planning to do. But if you don't believe me, I want to know why. Why now, all of a sudden? Why to begin with when the Rona was going to be so bad and we were going to have all these deaths? Did they not send this out? Now they send it out today on June 18th, talking about an emergency planning and information kit. Yeah. Stay safe, Minnesota. That's the cover page. With just happens to have all the same information that's required for you to be in a child care center. You want to know what happens if you need to be in a child care center? You got to give your information about where you live, your dental provider, your medical provider, things like that. You need to fill out a separate form for Rule 3, Minnesota Rule 9503, that talks about what items of comfort children have, how are they consoled, are they potty trained, things of that nature. You got to have vaccine forms, which that was waived. I'm not even going to get into that right now, but that will make you lose sleep at night if you're for freedom of what gets injected into your body. And above all, they put it in a nice little package and said, here, it's for your safety. I hope you're waking up, Minnesota, but I'm not going to stop talking. People say to me, well, it's dangerous. You know what? If you read the Bible, your days are numbered. God knows them. He has a plan for you. And I encourage you to walk out your plan. Walk out the plan he has for you in your life. Good things are coming. I've been saying this for a long time. Even though you don't see it now, they are. But first we have to live through this. And why do you have to live through it? Because experience is the mother of all learning. And you would never believe what you're about to find out if you didn't experience it first. Be smart. Don't let people come into your home. If they knock on your door, you can say, I don't answer questions. Oh, hi, are you so-and-so? I don't answer questions. I'm not going to get into why you say I don't answer questions, but the minute you say your name, it's over. This is about restoring our constitutional republic, de jure versus de facto. That's what this is. It's all a big battle. That's why they scream Orange Man bad, because they don't want the corporation, the United States of America, to go away and the United States for America, the republic, to be restored. It's time to armor up, Ephesians 6, but above all, be in the know, keep your head on a swivel, and pay attention, because it's better to be more informed and to know than to answer the door, or to take the stupid COVID testing and all this other crap they're lining up and not know. Be informed. Remember that God is on the throne. Jesus is my Savior, not walls.